anyway, so I like to freeze them and I like to use them, and then I have my vidalias all year long, which I love. And anyway, so I go into my freezer, and here they are. I'm going to take some with my handy dandy scooper. I like to double bag in the freezer too, because sometimes other things that you have in the freezer, they tend to pick up the odors and the tastes of stuff. So I'm going to just take a, I know they're frozen, but once they're in here, they will thaw out very quickly. And you just want to get your onions. Now, I'm going to tell you about this recipe. I really don't use that much onion. I just need a little bit of the flavor of the sauteed onion, because when I make this recipe, I use onion rolls. Actually, they're called New Yorkers, and I use challah. And in the New Yorker onion roll, they have onions going all the way through it. So there's a really good flavor of onions that comes through, and you don't really have to use that many onions. So just throw a little bit in there to saute along with the other vegetables, just to get that onion, you know, that mirepoix, where you have the celery, the carrots, and the onion flavor. And you want it to be nice and kind of, oh, I don't know, translucent. That's it. It doesn't have to be much more than that. And after you're done with the sauteing, you see how it's coming down? Just little by little. It's just kind of, the mushrooms are getting, and remember, you want those small pieces. And of course, as it cooks, it's going to get even smaller. So you want to make sure that you don't start with nothing, because you'll wind up with totally nothing. But these are kind of a nice size piece. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to throw in some cranberries. I know. Some people wait until they do it afterwards with the stuffing, but I like to put the cranberries in now. And the one thing I really do when I'm cooking, and it's a great tip for everybody, is measure everything out before you cook. Get everything all completely measured and in separate containers, and put it right where you're going to be using it, and that way you don't forget. That way you don't have to stop a recipe in the middle and go hunting for something. And sometimes you can't do that, and it ruins the whole flavor or taste of a recipe. So, but the reason I like to put my cranberries in now is because I like the cranberry taste to go all through. I like it to, I love the flavor of cranberry. So this kind of makes it go more through the dish by doing it this way. Okay, so now that I have everything sauteed, what we're going to do is bring it over. And I'll tell you another little trick that I did. I take my stuffing, I break up my bread, I cut up my bread, and what I do is I put it in a big bowl, but I always let it sit out, because it kind of gets stale while it's sitting out, which is what you want. You want that dried out kind of thing. And I'm going to add my veggies into this. We'll just add our veggies into the stuffing, and there we go. All of that into there. And then we'll bring it over here, and we're going to beat 2 eggs. And I love beating eggs. I want to tell you something. My husband used to love to cook, and I loved it when my husband cooked, because I always lost weight when he cooked. And it's not because he was a bad cook. Actually, he was a pretty good cook. The reason I lost weight is because it took me 2 weeks to like clean up the mess that he would make when he cooked. So I got a lot of exercise then. But anyway, here is what I do. First, I'm going to add a couple of eggs into my stuffing mix, just like this. And this is what it looks like at this point, you see. So you've got everything in there. And now you kind of go around, and you want to get your eggs coating as much as you can of the bread, and get that flavor in there from the eggs. And of course, eggs will work as a binder too, because we are making a muffin, although I do use it in my dressing or my stuffing. Some people call it dressing, some people call it stuffing. I guess it's stuffing if it goes into the turkey, and I guess it's just dressing if you cook it separately. And then I'm going to add my chicken stock, and of course, gauge this. Now I'm adding about 2.5 cups. But if you find that it's not moist enough, you can always add a little bit more, because the bread will soak it up as you go. And I'm just mixing it all together. You see? Everything is combined nicely in here. You really kind of, you know, it's, I don't know if there's any big technical term for what I'm doing right now. I believe the word would be mush. But we're mushing right now. So you want it to get into a nice mushy kind of a place so you can take it and stick it into, spoon it into your, now I think this is wet enough. I will tell you, I think we used enough. Maybe, yeah, no, I think we're good. So I think what we're gonna do is, now we're gonna add the crunch. Now there's one thing about stuffing. There's one thing about any food that you're using. You kind of want to have different taste textures in your mouth when you're eating. If you're just eating something that's mushy, your mouth gets bored eating it. But if you have like a texture in there where there's a crunch along with the mush, it kind of gives you that extra little, I don't know, that it makes it interesting to eat. And you kind of enjoy it a little bit more. So the way I do this with this particular stuffing is I add sliced almonds. I love sliced almonds, and I love the flavor that they bring to this recipe. The flavor with the almonds and with the cranberries, it is so yummy, and it just tastes like Thanksgiving all year long. If you make this all year long, you will taste Thanksgiving. And also, I'm going to take a big spoon, or you can use a scoop, but I just take a spoon. Now, before I put it into the container. Now, here is the thing. I have friends who have made this recipe and they've asked me, well, should we, put it in a cupcake little tin, one of those paper cupcake thins? I don't do that. I guess you could, but you'd have to spray the inside because otherwise that paper will stick to the stuffing. You won't get that crunchy, nice little, texture around the bottom that you get in the cupcake tin. And in order to get that, you have to butter these very good. So I just take butter, and I'm very generous about buttering the inside of my cupcake tin. And that way, not only does it prevent the stuffing from sticking, but it also gives it a nice buttery flavored crusty feeling after you've taken it out. So it's a really good thing to do. Forget the extra calories. We don't worry about calories. Besides, just put it on somebody else's plate, because if you eat it from somebody else's plate, then the calories stay with that other person. They don't go to you. So don't ever worry about things like that. Or eat standing up. That's very effective too. Then all the calories drop down to your feet immediately. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it into our container and pack it as you go. You're going to pack this down, and I'll tell you why. Because you want it to be nice and firm in there, so when it cooks, it sticks together. Otherwise, when you take it out, you're going to wind up with it's going to start to fall apart. So you kind of want to put it in there firmly. And it's very easy to do. See how easy this is? It takes maybe 1 more minute from your usual stuffing recipe, but it really, really makes a difference in the flavor, and it looks nice when you entertain, when you set the table and you have all the good stuff for Thanksgiving. Oh my goodness, it is so yummy looking, and everybody goes, "What's that? What's that?" And they get excited. And of course, everybody likes to have their own little thing. I don't know what that is about, but everybody likes their own little cake or portion. And there is the phone. And I bet you want to stop it, Richard? Let's stop.